Hello, my name is Jorge Rivera. I'm with FirstCoast.tv. We find ourselves today in the office of Vicky Oates. She's the Supervisor of Elections here in St. Johns County. This is the month of the woman, so we've decided to talk to all these women who have jobs that have lots of responsibilities and that are challenging. So we talked to Nancy Shaver this month about her first 100 days, and today we're going to talk to Vicky Oates. So let's go ahead and ask her some questions. I'm here with Vicky Oates. As we said, we were going to ask her some questions. So my first question is, who are you? Well, what do we know about Vicky Oates? Or what do we not know about Vicky Oates?
Well, I am a native Floridian, born in nearby Duval County, and I've lived in Florida all my life. And I moved to St. Johns County about 33 years ago. So I've been in this community for quite some time.
Wow. Well, Mrs. Oates, how long have you been in this job, this position, as Supervisor of Elections?
I have been supervisor since September of 2011, about 3.5 years, but I have been in the office for 28 years.
So you've seen many elections.
And seen many changes over the years. When I first came to work in March of 1988, we had 32,000 registered voters in St. Johns County. We now have almost 164,000 registered voters in the county.
I know we don't have an interview where we could talk for hours, but in a nutshell, how would you describe your duties, your responsibilities in the position that you're in?
My office is responsible for conducting all elections in St. Johns County, beginning at the federal level, down to state, county, local, and municipal, all elections. We qualify candidates. We also do a lot of voter education, including visiting all of our high schools annually to educate the seniors and encourage them to register to vote so they will be able to participate when there's 18. We get out into our communities a lot, and there's a lot of education involved.
Right now we started the absentee ballot thing for the election on the 7th, am I correct?
Yes, that's true. We have the upcoming April 7th special general election, and right now we have about 15,000 absentee ballots that have been mailed out that have started coming back.
So now talking about these elections on April 7th, these are special elections. These are not our routine elections that we have. So are these costing us money?
Yes. This was a special election called by Governor Scott to fill vacancies in Florida Senate District 6 and Florida House Districts 17 and 24. It was a chain reaction when Senator Thrasher resigned his position, and then consequently our state representatives for both seats in St. Johns County resigned their position to run for Senate 6. So these are the special elections called to fill the vacancies. Normally we do not have elections in off years.
So my question to you is, do we know how much these are costing us? Do we have a ballpark figure?
Yes. My request to the Board of County Commissioners was for $367,000 for conducting both the primary and the general election. Now, for the primary, we've already received all the bills, sent copies to the state. They will reimburse us 100% of the cost of the election since it was called by Governor Scott.
Okay.
As soon as the April 7th election is concluded and we receive all of our bills, we will do the same thing. We'll turn around, send our billing to the state, and they will also reimburse us for that election as well.
Yes, because that was my second question, and you answered it, yes, quite well. So the election will cost so much money, we're getting reimbursed. So the question I hear a lot from people, from voters out there is it worth having an election like this because they're afraid not enough people come to vote? Is the voting really low in an election
Yes, typically turnout in a special election is low. For example, our turnout in the primary back in January was only 18.5%.
Wow.
So neighboring Duval County recently had a special election and their turnout was 8%.
Wow.
So St. John's did a little better, but
Yeah, still if that question is, why do you think people don't take a special election as seriously as they say, you know, when we have the presidential with all the state representatives and is it because there's a very little intensity of advertising the election and things like that?
no, there's a lot of advertising. I spend a lot of my budget money on advertising, on direct mail pieces to individual voters, sending them the sample ballots. I think sometimes people don't see that it affects them. And when I work with our students in the high school, one of their first questions will be, well, how does this affect me? And when I explain to them, well, you're working part-time, there's taxes being taken out of your paycheck. Every time you pull up to a gas pump, you're paying gas taxes. You're already being affected by this. And we have freedoms in our country
Yes.
that many countries do not. And one of the freedoms we have is our very precious right to vote.
Yes.
And I really wish more people would exercise their right to vote, to participate in their communities, and to learn about the candidates, and to take the time to be involved, because it does affect our local, on the state level, our direct election of our representatives.
Yes.
It's very important.
I'm very militant on that. I tell people very point blank, there's people who are rotting in jails. There's people who are getting killed, harassed, because they want to vote. And when you don't vote here, being it so easy, to me, means you're very disrespectful. Here you are, supervisor elections, lots of things going on. So, what would you say, let's start with the positive. What's the most rewarding thing you think in being in the position you're at?
I really enjoy visiting our high schools, working with the students, educating them about the importance of voting. I like to talk to different groups and encourage voter participation among our groups. We try to make use of our website. We put a lot of information out there, and that's a challenge too, because of the cost of advertising these days has gotten rather large, but we try to do what we can for being very budget conscious.
Now, on the negative side, what is the thing you find most frustrating, or if we don't want to use the word frustrating, the most challenging thing of being in the position you're at as supervisor of elections?
I always think and wonder, is there more I can do to get people to get out to vote? That's the most frustrating thing for me, in that people do not take advantage of the opportunities to cast their votes.
Okay, all right. So here's my last question. What's in the future for the elections here? More technology? More outreach to the community? What do you see happening in the future? What does the crystal ball say?
Well, the crystal ball says technology. We like to be on the cutting edge of technology. It has really changed the world of elections over the years. The use of the internet for reaching out to our voters, to providing the information, candidate information that's available on our website and on the internet if people take the time. The moving ahead with technology in our voting systems. I often get asked by people, when are we going to be able to vote online?
I was going to ask you that question, just it went through my mind.
And it's going to be a while. It's going to be a while. Probably not in my lifetime. because there are very serious security issues.
Yes.
There's no trust.
Right.
People do not trust the security that's out there.
Right.
Now, there was a time back in 2006 that Florida allowed electronic voting on touchscreens.
Right. I remember that.
Do you remember that?
Mm-hmm.
We still use them as an ADA device for voters with disabilities.
Okay.
However, there was such distrust, people saying, oh, the computers can be hacked, results can be changed, you can't trust them. There was an election reform act that was passed by the Florida legislature that following year that changed and put Florida back on paper ballots.
Okay.
So all voters are now required to cast paper ballots. This year we'll be updating our technology, buying new ADA equipment, which will allow a voter with disabilities, when they vote and they cast their ballot, it will produce a paper ballot. So we're required by law to make that change.
Okay.
But it's all about technology.
All right. Well, from FirstCoast.tv, I really want to thank you for giving us these minutes to get to know you, get to know what's going on here, what the future's like, and about this special election. So I think we got lots of great information. And I think the people watching this thank you, and I thank you.
Well, thanks. Thanks for having me.
And I have a message for all you voters out there. Did you know that voting has never been easier than it is today? Any voter can request an absentee ballot and vote by mail. We have early voting several days prior to each election, and your precinct is always open 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. So please take advantage of our opportunities and get out and cast your vote.